Hello, my friend. I am so honored and blessed to be able to speak to you today. I'm so grateful that today I find myself in a state of well-being, in good enough shape that I'm able to reach out and make some small attempt to connect with you. I am so grateful that you find yourself right now listening to these words. For these words come from a heart of joy, from a heart of love, from a heart that has been and is being resurrected. I see the awakening in me. I see the enlightenment happening. I see this love. I become this love. I am experiencing myself as love and as forgiveness. And I've been on this planet long enough to know what a miracle this is in me. And it is just from this miracle which I speak. And my message to you simply is that love is possible. I've heard it said that the world is the idea that love is impossible. But I am here to tell you that love is. God is in this very moment. And love is always found right here, right now, in this very moment. Love is not tomorrow. Love is not yesterday. Love is only right here, in the only moment that ever was. This one, right now. There is hope. There is hope, my friend, to see that resurrection in ourselves. There is hope that we could love our enemies. Possibly the greatest miracle of all, to have had an enemy and then to know that enemy as the one, to see that enemy as oneself, to understand that there is no enemy in love. Yes, my friend, there is no need to fear. If we try to save our lives, we lose our lives. It's quite simple like that. The kingdom of heaven is like a man who found a treasure hidden in a field. And having found that treasure, unearthed just maybe a corner of that treasure in this field, it's too big for him to get out right now. So he's so excited in that joy of finding that treasure. He goes and he sells all that he has just to buy that field, right? That's what the kingdom of heaven is like. The kingdom of heaven grows in us, even when we are not tending to that growth. The kingdom of heaven is within each of us. This is where we experience love, yes, in this subjective experience. Isn't this subjective experience the viewpoint from which we experience everything? What else is there that you can know that is not what you have seen from in here? And who is that other that we see? Is that other truly outside of us, or are we experiencing that other from within? And if we allow that other to offend us, to make us angry, if we start pointing our finger at that other and accusing that other of being an idiot, of being hateful, who are we really pointing our finger at? Considering that this subjective experience is all happening internally. Because that other is really just an image which appears on our inside. Can you see this? Who is that other outside of our viewing that other? And when we view that other, where do we view that? How do we experience that other? We experience that other in here. And so as soon as we make that other our enemy, we have really made an enemy in ourselves. Have you noticed that those images of the other seem to keep popping up, and that we fight them even in their absence? They become an image in us, which is an image of dissonance and conflict, and we end up fighting that image within ourselves. The good news today is that we don't have to do that. We are not obligated to go to war against the other. We are free to forgive. We are free to make friends with our enemies. Yes, it is the impossible task if we are living out of the shallower aspects of our nature. I agree with you. It is not possible. If this happens to be your argument in the moment. How then could we possibly love our enemy? We must become love. We must become he or she who forgives. Yes? We become the one. We acknowledge ourselves as the one. We acknowledge that those who appear to be on the outside are actually very much, very literally a part of us, part of the one organism, if you will, the oneness, the one consciousness, the great I am, that which cannot be objectified. From where did consciousness arise? When did that which was non-life become life? And from that life, how did this consciousness arise that is now observing all of the universe, both far out there and deep within in the quantum realm, and then that consciousness which observes itself? Yes? This consciousness, which has evolved to the stage where it begins to see that forgiveness is What is that? Who prays for the enemy? Who loves the enemy? Who surrenders in order to win? Who gives in order to receive? Where have we received these messages that we all seem to know innately somehow? They are a result of the evolution of consciousness. At one point, our brother Charles Darwin helped us to see that evolution is. Yes, in this universe, evolution appears to be that there is an evolution of life, that there is a changing, that there is a growing, that there is a turning over and over and over. And if we're afraid of that evolution, then we are incapable of seeing ourselves as the one who evolves, right? And we're incapable of seeing our community and our species as one who evolves and grows. And we're incapable of seeing the evolution of consciousness itself. That consciousness which has evolved into a love, into the love. We have lived long and hard, believing in our own individual identity, believing that we are the one who suffers and that we are the one who dishes out suffering. And we have demonized those individuals who have become great expressions of our own suffering. The root of all our suffering is the illusion of the separate self. We think we're alone and therefore we suffer. We think there is an other, and we think that if we point our finger at that other and isolate that other and demonize that other, that we are saving ourselves from our evil. We think we can resist and fight the evil, and that we will be victorious. But the thing about resisting and fighting the evil is every form of resistance only feeds that evil. If we have not become love, if we have not become the one, then all our forms of resistance are only feeding the evil which we want to resist. Who resists? How can we resist that which we are? You know, the Christ said that it's not if you murdered. It's have you experienced murder in your own heart, right? It's not just did you sleep with your neighbor's wife? You know, is your heart one of deceit for your brother? Is your heart one that's willing to sacrifice the sanctity of your relationship with your brother and his relationship with his wife in order to be gratified? See, it's about internal conditions now. The story of the Christ is that of a being which was born into a system of external observances, right? As long as you had your stuff together on the outside, then you were acceptable. But the Christ came and said, it's about the kingdom of heaven within. So if we look within and we are unable to experience the kingdom of heaven, if we look within and all we see is anger and hate and enemies and self-righteousness and justification, then we are not experiencing the kingdom of heaven within, are we? The kingdom of heaven is deeper than our thoughts. The kingdom of heaven is deeper than our emotions. The kingdom of heaven is deeper than our individual storyline. We must voluntarily give up our judgments and our opinions. How many hearts have you touched with your judgments and your opinions? How many minds have you changed with your harsh judgments and opinions? We know that love is the only way to a heart. Compassion and generosity and nurturing. These are the things that we respond to, are they not? When we chase ourselves around with a pointing finger, forcing ourselves to perform, forcing ourselves to do those things that we know we should do, we're trapped. And when we try to force others to change by shaming them, by pointing fingers, we effect no change at all. And when we resist that which we hate with our own hate, we only strengthen the hate. The good news, my friend, is that we have no obligation to continue that neurotic behavior. We are empowered. We are free to forgive. We are free to become the one who saves the world. This is the second coming of the Christ, yes? It is a story. It is a metaphor. It is a myth that lives within us. Because we are the ones who tell the stories. Whether that story has its genesis in the rational mind, or has its genesis in the mind of the poet, of the creation storyteller. We are all telling the story of creation. We are all telling the story of love, whether we're looking out into the observable universe or into the quantum realm. We are the love that heals. We are the love that heals this world. We are the love that heals one another. We are the one who embraces all. We are the one who forgives the insanity in ourselves. We are the one who forgives that insanity which appears to exist on the outside. But how do we experience the outside? Everything that we know as an individual comes through our subjective point of view. It is from this subjective position that we know ourselves and experience ourselves as love, as the one. It is from this place that we become the forgiveness that this world so desperately needs right now. The desperation must be forgiven. The desperation must be held and thereby dissolved. The desperation is just a distraction. The desperation is just to be seen through. There is no desperation. There is no suffering. We get to see through that. We train our minds. We make this decision to allow our awareness to descend into the depths, that infinite depth, that core of stillness that is within each of us, that core of our being which wants to nurture and love and help us, that wants to restore us to sanity. We have become powerless over our addiction to ourself. We are addicted to the I, the little self. We are addicted to the ego. We are addicted to our own selfishness and self-centeredness. The good news is we do get to come to the center. We do get to understand ourselves as the center. We get to understand ourselves as the one who forgives. Yet this neurotic storyline of ourselves as individuals and the neurotic storyline of ourselves as a species, we get to see through that. We get to see a forgiven world. We get to see our brothers and sisters as forgiven as we allow ourselves to become that love which forgives, which accepts, which opens, which does the impossible. Yes, my friend, the working out of this in the real world, it does seem to be complicated. Yet, if we begin every day, if we begin anew every moment, remembering, understanding ourselves as this one, then we will have the creativity, we will have the joy, we will have the passion to do the impossible, to allow the impossible, to allow the miracle to arise between us. We will begin to see things happen that we know ourselves, our shallow selves, to be incapable of. We are empowered. It is our birthright to see through this suffering in ourselves and in the other. We see through it, and we know the miracle beyond it. We know the miracle beyond the grievance, beyond the resentment, beyond the anger. I've heard it said that holding a resentment is like drinking poison, hoping someone else will die. We are poisoning ourselves with our own anger and resentments and unforgiveness. We are simply poisoning ourselves and the world with our own insanity, with our own neurosis. Absolute and unconditional forgiveness is a radical path. Yes, but it is also a rational path. We transcend the rational at some point, once we've exhausted the storyline that says that we can somehow transcend suffering through the use of only logic and reason. We realize how silly that story is, that we need to somehow draw from all of the deep sources that have informed us from generation to generation. The mystics are still alive in us. The shaman is still alive in us. We are the great healer. The Christ is still alive in us, the one who forgives. There is no fear in love. Fear is an illusion. Love, the only reality. Nothing that is real can be threatened. So when we are feeling threatened, we may understand that there is something false in us being threatened. We may understand ourselves as that which cannot be injured. We may understand ourselves as the one who will eventually watch this individual manifestation of consciousness dissolve. We understand ourselves as the one who will fearlessly watch this particular manifestation of consciousness pass away. We understand ourselves as the one who will watch we understand ourselves as the one who will watch this body die, the one who will witness the individual passing away. And we may choose voluntarily that death today to experience a resurrection, to experience a infinitely deeper life, the life that is within each of us, the life that is quiet and still and watches without judgment or opinion, the life that is love, that which has been called God. We are that being. We are that one. Yes, friend, I am so grateful to come to you today with this message of hope and freedom. It has been a lifetime, it seems, that I have been waiting for this message to arise from within myself. And I know the worth of this message. This message of love and forgiveness is the message that has been working its way to the surface in each of us for hundreds, thousands, millions, billions of years. This is the message of evolution. The evolution from egocentrism to ethnocentrism to understanding ourselves as a nation and as a world, and then as the cosmic consciousness, the Christ consciousness, that which knows and embraces and loves all. There is no problem. We thought there was a problem, but the problem got solved. We're not alone. We are not alone. And we are love.